We need to talk. What the heck are these lab grown meats that I'm seeing all over my social media and the news? I can see both sides of the spectrum. People are both loving it and then they're hating it. But why are they arguing on both sides? Well, the people who are loving it are saying that it's very environmentally friendly and it's cruelty free. We're not slaughtering all these animals and keeping them locked up in these little stalls and cages and forcing them to stand in their own stool and fecal matter. But on the other side, is it truly cruelty free and is it really environmentally friendly? I think we need to take a look into this and, in final, see the effects on the human body, not just outside effects on the cruelty and the environment. The California based companies Good Meat and Upside Food were first approved by the US Department of Agriculture to sell their lab grown chicken. And while this isn't on the shelves yet, it has been approved for testing and for retail sale in select restaurants in San Francisco. And what's even worse is that the celebrity chef Jose Andres is using this cultivated lab grown chicken in one of his Michelin star restaurants in Washington, D.C. In order to make lab chicken, since that's what's been approved first, scientists have to take a fertilized egg and remove the stem cells from it and add it to a petri dish. Then from there, they add a purifying growth medium in which to make these cells grow faster so that they can collect the meat and harvest it for sale. This purifying growth medium is used by big pharma companies to cultivate bacteria in the same way to make our antibiotics. Now, where do we draw the line between big pharma and our food? Isn't that a bit of a crossing between? The study published by UC Davis very recently showed that the lab-grown meats produced by these companies is actually 4 to 25 times more potent to our environment than standard meat collection processes are currently. A lot of this has to do with the way that they're growing these meats. And the way that they're growing it is following very pharmaceutical standards, where they're growing these cells in a petri dish, and in the process in which they're using it is cheaper than the alternative. Right now, such an alternative isn't available because our technology simply isn't there yet. But just because our technology isn't there, that doesn't mean we need to hop onto the first ship available to have these lab-grown meats that are grown in a very pharmaceutical similar way. It's also been found that one potential side effect of these lab-grown cells is the possible cancer-causing proponents. These cancer cells are especially dangerous when they're grown in vitro, which is how a lot of these cells are grown. They're in a petri dish, very in vitro, similar to how you would get a woman pregnant with IVF. And when you consume these faulty cells, they can promote cancer-causing cells in your own body. So I'm saying this right now. I am not a supporter of these lab-grown meats that are given the label environmentally friendly and cruelty-free. If you actually even look into it, how is lab-grown beef made? Well, in order to collect the cells for beef, you have to take a pregnant cow and slaughter it and capture its calf and remove the stem cells from the calf, and in which you can then multiply the cells again using a purifying growth medium. I don't think this is exactly where the companies are trying to get us to look into. They're very, oh, look, on the bright side, we're getting there somehow, some way. But I don't really think they're going about it in the right way. If you think about it, it's very bad for your health. It's not great for the environment, and it's expensive. I understand that it can be enticing to think, oh, we're only killing one mother and its calf as opposed to millions of them. But if you want to look at it then in another way, the environmental aspect is not actually better. So why are these companies giving it this label? I personally haven't seen any other country approve these lab-grown meats. But why is that? A lot of these other countries aren't going through the same things that the US is. So our meats are full of hormones and all these bacteria, and even the growth hormone is added to our chickens. When they're hatched from an egg, they're given these growth hormones, and then they're grown up and they're slaughtered and they're laying eggs. But you don't see this happening in other countries. It's just the US. And so now they're adding this to the market, and they're going to be giving it these labels that are saying that it's US FDA approved. But it's also going to have the sticker that's going to show that it is lab grown. And what's more, a lot of people are pushing for vegans and vegetarians to start partaking in the consumption of these lab-grown meats. Well, isn't that sort of going against the whole purpose of following a vegan or vegetarian diet? You're not trying to consume any meat, or in the case of vegans, any sort of animal products. And a lot of people are saying that, oh, these are like harvested in the lab, so they're not actually from an animal. But the original product does come from that beef or that chicken. And so it sort of defeats the purpose of trying to follow any sort of vegan or vegetarian diet. And what's more, they're also trying to push this upon the people who are following the Islam religion, those who are eating halal. And There are many companies out there trying to create these lab-grown meats in halal fashion. These lab-grown meats are also very high in levels of cholesterol, which in general is not great for the human body. Both of the California-based companies, Good Meat and Upside Meat, are pushing their products to the general US population, vegans and vegetarians, as well as those who follow the Islam religion and need to be eating halal foods. But we don't know the long-term effects of these lab-grown meats. We saw it before with Beyond Beef and the Beyond Patty, but it was already seen that those patties are pumped full of hormones, and especially estrogen, which can cause weight gain, high cholesterol levels, and is very negative in the human body in general. And so the same thing could be seen with these lab-grown meats. We don't know the long-term effects of them, and yet they're pushing them out into the US society with only 1 year being labeled as consumable by the FDA here in the US. I wouldn't recommend eating these meats until more research is done to show the harmful and beneficial sides of these products. So next time you see an ad campaign for these lab-grown meats and why they're so good for you and it's beneficial to be consuming them, I would really think about the detrimental side effects, many of which we don't know. We just know that there's a very good chance that there are cancer-causing cells in these lab-grown meats and that they can raise your cholesterol levels through the roof. Be very careful when it comes to consuming these products. I personally wouldn't recommend it at all. If you're eating vegan or vegetarian, stay that way. Avoid these meats that are grown in the lab. And if you are consuming meat, stick to the organic and grass-fed beefs and the cage-free, they're free-roaming chickens. I highly recommend staying away from this as a whole. And if you're looking to still lose weight, again, the high cholesterol level, and then there's the high possibility of these hormones, this estrogen that's put into these products. You want to avoid them. So if you're taking any sort of advice from me, my final word on this stance is don't consume these. I really don't trust it, and I don't see any benefits of investing into this at this time until we have the proper technology to be able to cultivate and make these products without using pharmaceutical technology, by using these purifying growth hormones, and in a way that is actually sustainable and cruelty-free. If you like this sort of video and you want more information about the health food scams that are out there, or in general want to see more weight loss tips, please hit the subscribe button, that like, and that bell icon notification button for future uploads.